Welcome back to Doubles and Trebles. It's the Pieman here, and the Grand Prix is nearly upon us. 7 days of delightful double-in, double-out action coming to us from Leicester, and what better way to prepare for the tournament than to run through the entire field. Yeah, I've got a 32-man player-by-player guide for you coming very quick fire, so let's dive straight into it with the leading contenders. So first up, we have world number one Gerwyn Price, and he's had a bit of a mixed year by his own admission, putting business interest and family first, often skipping tournaments and picking and choosing his schedule wisely. But Price, like all the best players, knows when to turn it on. And the fact that he won the World Series of Darts finals recently just shows that he can find his form at the best time. After winning that, he says that he still thinks he's getting better all the time. And in 3 years, he may be unbeatable. That's a bold comment, but such is the confidence of Price. And he has a fine record in this tournament too, winning it in 2020, of course, and then very nearly defending his title a year later when losing to Jonny Clayton, his countryman, in last year's showpiece. So you can't really knock him on the form. He loves the format, one of the best double tops hitters around. And we know from his World Championship win that he handles the pressure very well. I do think you can catch him cold sometimes at the start of an event, but he does grow into tournaments. And if he's still lurking in the quarterfinals, semi-finals, he's going to take a lot of beating. Next up is Peter Wright, and like Gerwyn Price, the world champ's had his fair share of off-hockey issues this season. Gallstone problem eventually requiring an operation. He missed the World Series tour of Australia and New Zealand as a result, and prior to that, it had been a year of frustration, to be honest. The odd sparkling performance in the Players' Championship and a promising start to his Premier League campaign, but ultimately a lot of rubbish from Wright and a lot of equipment tampering as well, not that we'd expect any less from him. But I'm willing to put a line through it because of those health issues, and he's bounced back recently with a very impressive victory on the Euro Tour. So if he's at it, he's obviously a danger. I will say that he doesn't really have great recent form in this event. He's gone out the last 2 years in the first round, losing 2-0, including a particularly bad performance against Ryan Joyce, where his average was down in the 70s. He does have a tendency to chase his doubles around the board and fluctuate between doubles, so I'm not sure that's a positive for this kind of format, but you can never really rule Peter Wright out, can you? In at 3 is MVG Michael van Gerwen, and he returns to the scene of a tournament that brought him his first ever major success all the way back in 2012. 10 years on, he'll be looking for a 6th victory at the World Grand Prix. Amazing record, winning it again in 2014, 2016, 2018 and 2019. He really does love this format, and I think that is a testament to what a consistent doubler and consistent scorer Van Gerwen is. He always finds a way. Went out of the first round last year to Danny Noppert, his countryman, but I think we can allow him that. It's an exemplary record in this format. It's been a really good year for him as well, winning the Premier League, winning the match play in a modern-day classic of a final with Gerwyn Price. He's had 3 wins on the Euro Tour and a couple of Players' Championship victories, and he just generally seems to have that swagger back to my eye. Obviously, the standard is raised around him, so gone are the days of saying that Van Gerwen is a certainty or is an even shot to win a tournament. But I noticed that the first show of betting does have him in as the slight favourite, and I'm struggling to argue that too strongly. Good luck to whoever's going to knock Van Gerwen out of this. Ranked 4th for this event is Michael Smith, and it feels like 2022 has potentially been a significant year for the bully boy, even though he has added to that run of major final defeats when losing the UK Open final 11-10 to Danny Noppert back in March. He had this amazing purple patch in the summer where he won the Dutch Darts Open on the Euro Tour in May, then followed it up with back-to-back Players' Championship wins. And in between the second and third victory, he won the US Masters. So it was a remarkable little run of form from Smith, and he showed this kind of ruthless winning streak that we've all been desperate for him to develop throughout his career, because God knows he's got so much ability, but so often he fluffs his lines when it comes to getting the job done. I am really encouraged by his form, but I'm really put off by his horrendous record in the Grand Prix. I was having a little look earlier, and he's actually gone out in 7 of his 9 attempts at the first hurdle, and the other 2 he's gone out in the second round. So truly dreadful record here. There's no real rhyme or reason for it, but it's one of those weird quirks that does just put me off, and I'll probably be looking elsewhere. Next up at 5, it's the machine, James Wade, the ultimate mark of consistency in professional darts. Every time you think he might be on that downward spiral or his career might be coming towards the back end, he just pulls out a little bit more, doesn't he? And a really admirable player. I think every amateur wishes they could play like James Wade. It's been another really good year for him as well. Let's not forget he made the World Championship semi-finals, perhaps not playing that well, but it still takes a lot of doing. And then in the Premier League, he was kind of expected to just make up the numbers, but he actually went on to make finals night, playing really well with some impressive scoring along the way, and that's not really something we associate with the machine. But he's made a few semi-finals this year, and I've been pretty impressed with the way he's gone about it. A two-time winner of the Grand Prix in years gone by, although his recent record isn't as good. 4 first-round exits in the last 6 years. Doubling is his game, although that favourite double 10 is not really a starting double, is it? So maybe that's why he suffered a bit recently. I quite like Wade's chances here of a run, but I think it's probably pushing it to say he wins it. Somewhat surprisingly, Jose de Sousa is the current world number 6, and that is purely down to the 2-year ranking system because 2022 has been pretty torrid for the special one. One of dart's most likeable characters, but he's had a really rough time of it in recent months. Seems to have lost his form and his throw, not really doing anything of note since that Masters semi-final. And he still gets invited and he still gets hyped for these big events because we know what he can do. Of course, a Grand Slam winner and a finalist in the Premier League last year, but 2022 has not been kind to the special one at all. It's hard to fancy him to do much in this event. His doubling has been pretty erratic. However, he has had some big wins recently on minor events on the Euro Tour, on the floor. And when he's spoken in interviews, he's kind of hinted that he's had some stuff going on away from the hockey. So maybe we should be giving de Sousa a wide berth. I know everyone would love to see him recapture that form of old, and I would love to see him win this title. But realistically, it isn't going to happen. Next up at number 7 is Jonny Clayton, and just like Jose de Sousa, he'll probably be frustrated with how his 2022 has panned out. Not really that it's been a bad year for Clayton, he just set himself extraordinarily high standards with so many TV title wins last year. He really was the man of 2021, but the Ferrets found it slightly trickier going, falling at the semi-finals in a lot of tournaments this year, the Masters, the Premier League, the World Series of Darts. There has been some more encouraging recent form on the Euro Tour, and I do think it's a little bit premature to be saying that Jonny Clayton has dipped or that he was a flash in the pan. He's still capable of beating anybody on his day. He's maybe just lost that little bit of air of invincibility that he briefly held when he was winning everything under the sun, but he's a fabulous player, the most brutal 140 scorer, and he's very rarely out of a leg as a result. I like Jonny Clayton on the 16s and 8s, so I do think this tournament's a good fit for him. Obviously, the reigning champion, having won it last year, and while he's not in that same form, I'm interested in him. I think he's got a real chance. The final seeded player in this year's Grand Prix is Rob Cross, although he's just clinging on to that 8th spot in the rankings via a hairbreadth. And it really is a pivotal time for Voltage in terms of his future because he's defending a lot of money from 2 years ago when he was one of the world's elite. Obviously, he's struggled since, and that's starting to reflect in his ranking now. However, regular viewers of the less glamorous side of darts, i.e. the Players' Championship and the Euro Tour, will know that Cross is a man back in form. He's made 3 Euro Tour finals this year, albeit losing all 3 of them, but some very promising performances in that format. And he won the last Players' Championship event, a really strong field, and he won it by obliterating the field. So he's certainly a man in form. We know he can do it on the TV. He's making all the right noises in terms of confidence. I'm really intrigued with Rob Cross. And when I look at the top of the market, there's a lot of players in good form at a similar price. But Rob Cross's price is a little bit of an outlier to me. I think he's the dark horse to be on in this tournament. Well, I hope you're enjoying this rundown of the field for this year's World Grand Prix. If you want to see my thoughts on the rest of the field, and that includes people like Dimitri van den Berg, Dirk van Dijvenbode, Damon Heta, Danny Noppert, plenty more, then you're going to have to check out our follow-up video, which will be coming very soon. And if it's already live, the link will be in the description or appearing on your screen somewhere about here. So do click that video, give us a like if you're enjoying these videos, and don't forget to subscribe to Doubles and Trebles for more darts content. Thanks for watching.